Hello friends, welcome you all. In the previous lecture, we have discussed RBI Act 1934 Framework for NBFCs, part first. In this today's lecture, I am going to explain you RBI Act 1934 Framework for NBFCs, part second. We were discussing about the certificate of registration. In the previous lecture we have discussed this, then maintenance of liquid assets norms, then creation of reserve fund, ceiling on quantum of public deposits, then these were the deposit acceptance related regulations, investment in liquid asset, then period of deposit we have explained, then advertisement methodology for acceptance of public deposits, then submission of return, then capital to risk asset ratio, that is CRAR ratio we have discussed in the previous lecture. You can refer the part first lecture. In this today's lecture I am going to discuss the prudential norms applicable to only those NBFCs which are accepting or holding public deposits. So what are the restrictive norms? Continue to last lecture. I am taking the next subject, that is restrictive norms. So what are the restrictive norms for NBFCs which are accepting or holding public deposit? So capital not to exceed tier first capital general provision, and loss reserves not to exceed 1.25% of the risk weighted asset. So subordinate debt issued with original tenor of 60 months or more. So this is the first restrictive norms, that capital should not be exceed tier first capital general provision, and loss reserve should not be more than 1.25% of risk weighted asset. So a subordinated debt issued with the original tenor of 60 months or more. Acceptance of public deposit not allowed if the prudential norms are not complied with fully. So fully these prudential norms should be followed or complied, or NBFC should work according to prudential norms. If they are not followed, then the NBFCs are not allowed to accept public deposit. Any NBFC defaulting in repayment of the mature deposit prohibited from creating any further asset until the defaults are rectified. Means if any NBFC is not able to repay the public deposit, or it is defaulting, then which is mature deposit, means the date the tenure of that particular deposit completed, but NBFC not return that public deposit, then it is prohibited or it is restricted from the creating any further asset, that is it is restricted from the acceptance of new deposits. Next restrictive norm is investment in real estate, except for own use, restricted to 10% of the own fund. Means the NBFCs can purchase or can invest in real estate, but it has to use that real estate for own use, for the own business, and it is restricted to the only 10% of own fund. Investment in unquoted share restricted as under EL and HP companies, that is 10% of own fund. So unquoted shares, investment in unquoted shares restricted. Then loan investment company have the this restriction is 20% of own fund, that is because it is a investment company. and other for the other companies only 10% they can invest in the shares, but it should not be unquoted shares. No further investment in real estate or unquoted shares in case of excess position held till its regularization. So further investment is restricted in the real estate or unquoted shares in case of excess position. Next is sufficient adjustment period allowed. Further extension on merit of each case. Sufficient adjustment period is allowed to adjust to the NBFCs. Third subject is credit investment or concentration norms. Means concentration means to providing loan to a particular party or particular person. So single borrower exposure credit limit is 15% of own fund. Means for the single borrower NBFCs can advances loan only 15% of its own fund. Investment 15% of one fund for the investment in the different assets. Single group of borrower exposure 25% of own limit credit fund. Means for the single group the borrower is in a group, so only 25% of net own fund can be advanced as a loan. Then composite or credit and investment exposure limit is for the single borrower only 25% of own fund, and single group of borrowers it is 40% of own fund. So this is the credit or investment restrictions. Then first exposure norms also applicable to own group companies and subsidiaries, 40% of own fund. So here is the first exposure norms is applicable to the own group companies also. Second includes all form of credit and credit related and certain other receivables as also of balance sheet exposure also. So it includes all forms of credit and credit related and certain other receivables also in this in that percentage. Third is debenture bond to be treated as credit for the purpose of prudential norms, but investment for the purpose of balance sheet and compliance with investment obligations. So debenture bond treated as a credit for the purpose of prudential norms, but as investment for the purpose of balance sheet. In the balance sheet it is investment, but it is treated as the credit in the prudential norms. Next is fourth, prudential norms applicable to only the fourth prudential norm is reporting system, half yearly return. So how NBFCs they have to report to the Reserve Bank of India? So they have to submit return at the end of the March and September every year, that is half yearly. After every 6 months they have to submit return. Time allowed for submission is 3 months from the due date. The return to be certified by the statutory auditor of the company. However, it need not wait for audit, and the figures furnished therein could be the unaudited figures but must be certified by the auditors. So time is allowed to submit the return is 3 months from the due date, and the return to be statutorily certified, it should be certified by the statutory auditors of the company. So the NBFCs have to report half yearly. Then now the norms, prudential norms applicable to all NBFCs irrespective of whether they accept, hold public deposit or not. So these are the prudential norms for all the NBFCs which are accepting public deposit or not. First is income recognition norms. The income recognition on the NPA is allowed on cash basis only. The unrealized income recognized earlier is required to be reserved. The recognition of income on the NPA is allowed on cash basis only. The unrealized income recognized earlier is required to be reversed. Next is prudential norms applicable to all NBFCs. NPA norms. Recognition of income on accrual basis before the asset becomes NPA as under loans and advances up to 6 months and 30 days past due period. Lease and hire purchase finance is 12 months. So these are the NPA norms. Then restrictive norms. Loans against shares not allowed. Fourth norm is accounting standards. All the accounting standards and guidance noted issued by Institute of Chartered Accountant of India ICAI are applicable to all NBFCs. So they are not inconsistent with the guidelines of RBI. So they have to follow, NBFCs have to follow Institute of Chartered Accountants of India norms, accounting standards, and which are they should be consistent with Reserve Bank of India guidelines also. Accounting for investment. All NBFCs to have a well-defined investment policy. So investment can be classified into two categories. First is long-term and current investment. So long-term investment to be valued as per accounting standards issued by Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, and current investment to be classified into quoted and unquoted. So current investment can be classified quoted and unquoted, and long-term investment to be valued as per the standard accounting standards. And investment can be classified into two groups: long-term investment and current investment. Next norm is asset classification. So all form of credit including receivables to be classified into four categories. What are these four categories? First is standard assets, which gives a regular income or installments. Substandard assets means there are time periods. Substandard asset means the few installments not paid by the borrower, or there is the irregularity of payment in the installments. Doubtful asset means from many installments not paid, and the NBFC have the doubt that this asset will not this asset can become a loss. And last is loss asset, mean which is completely stopped paying the installments or principal amount, and it is completely defaulted by borrower, and it is called loss asset. So what are the provisions made for these NPA? The NPA means non-performing asset or the loan which do not bring the income for NBFCs. First is standard assets. So 10% of outstanding balance provision should be made for the standard asset. Doubtful asset, on unsecured portion 100% of the provision should be made by the NBFCs, and on secured portion means there are unsecured and secured loans. So when loans are unsecured, then 100% provision should be made, and when loans are secured, then 20, 30 and 50% depending on the age of the doubtful asset have to be made provision for these asset, and for the loss asset 100% of the outstanding asset should be made as a provision. So in case of loss asset 100% provision should be made by the NBFCs. Next is disclosure norms for NBFCs. Every NBFC is required to separately disclose in its balance sheet the provisions made as outlined above without netting them from the income or against the value of asset. So every NBFCs have to separately disclose its balance sheet provisions, and it should be made as a outline above without netting them from the income or against the value of asset. So the next is the provision shall be distinctly indicated under the separate head of account. As you commerce students know the different heads, the provision shall be made differently indicated under the separate heads. That is, first head is provision for bad and doubtful asset and provision for depreciation in investment. So these are the disclosure norms for the NBFCs. So these were the prudential norms for the NBFCs, whether it is accepting public deposit, holding public deposit or not. So these are the provisions. Some technical part is there, some things not easily understand, but try to understand it, pause it and try to read it. You will get and if you have any questions then let me know. Thank you. See you in the next lecture.